Let's see what you did, Maria. See if you took those notes into account. Cool. Super secret ninja balance. I'm just going to go through it and just kind of give you my thoughts on what I think you can work on. One thing I would like to stress too is that like one thing I got brought up when I started animating is really strong posing, like kind of going and thinking. Right now Mikey is sitting to himself and he looks like he's scared. It's probably just because he's bug-eyed and wally-eyed and stuff like that, but should be able to know what exactly Mikey's about to do. But what is he thinking right now? Is he about to, it look like a half pipe, is he about ready to run through it? Is he's gonna pull out a skateboard or something like that? Yeah, one thing is like really experiment with how much attitude you can get in a key pose, right? So maybe like Mikey's just sitting there, like on your mark, get set, go. But maybe something like Mikey's really determined. He's got like a look on his eye like, yeah, I'm about to do this course. Or maybe he's setting up and getting ready for something. Open his arms out just a little bit more. Man, I haven't drawn turtles in a long time. Yeah, but something like that. Just to kind of show that he's ready and about ready to jump, which is really cool. Especially when you're about ready to start something like that. I just feel like, okay, he's ready to dart through this. And especially this ending part. I love this ending, but Mikey looks like he doesn't know where he's at. Or maybe he could just be like in the air and just jumping and cheering like, hey! You know, catch him in a midair pose or something like that. Especially when he lands too. Dynamic pose, whether he's just like landing like, dude, I just finished the O course right here. Something cool, but I think it would be cool just to see Mikey land in a very cool, appealing pose. Just something that doesn't overlap too much of what he's doing right here. And obviously he's on one foot, he's on one toe. It looks like he's about ready to tip over this way. So just be cautious of that, especially when you're completing your animation too. You want to watch out for sharp pops. Especially in this leg part right here. So see how this leg is going back and we got like a hyperextending part right there. Let me get to my yellow. We got a hyperextending part right there when it comes back, and we got a bent part, and then we have like a moving part, and then within 3 frames the leg is just going ee. These are like really tricky things that happen that catches my eye, especially when you're walking and I'm tracking or jumping and I'm tracking the knee pad. This knee is going to be going next in space. So you could really start turning this leg out this way, really get a sense of his head coming down. It's really interesting with these turtles because we try not to break their shells too much. That was one of the rules that we had on the show, was you could only bend the shell so much, slightly bend it, because obviously their turtle shells were hard. So if you bend it too much, it wouldn't pass as a very hard object. He's like looking directly at me, which is kind of creepy. When you do get a chance, and I've noticed this throughout the whole animation, I like how he's predicting in the future where he's stepping, but also too, it's also good to show that Mikey is looking forward to where he needs to go next. I like how he's predicting where his feet are going, but right around here he's looking directly at me, and that kind of breaks the illusion a little bit. So always keep the eyes focused on where they need to go next. Every time I see kind of like an arm doing this, I try to gauge what is part of the animation and what it's trying to do. And when I think about going side to side, obviously we want to keep our balance and our arms come out pretty straight like this. But what I like to do is just keep my elbows out, and I had to add a little bit of curve in there too. And the beautiful thing about animation is that we can push it a little bit too. So try to focus on what his arms are doing, because when I think of this course, I know obviously the person is jumping side like this, jumping back like that. Normally they come in jumping back and forth like this. But also they're trying to maintain balance and use their arm as momentum. So as Mikey's going back and forth, really utilize and lead with the arms as he's jumping, right? As he's jumping, he's also, in a sense, bounding with his feet like a extended run. So as he's going back and forth, it's important to keep those arms out in balance, but also pushing it to look as if he's moving his body. As he's going forward this way, he's going to be using this arm to push momentum. And if you don't use FK, I highly recommend it, especially for physicality shots like this. So that way the arm is in adjacent with the entire body and you feel that turn. And I know the reference looks exactly what the guy's doing, but the cool thing about what you can do with Mikey and seeing him is you can push him, you can push his style, you can push his personality. So you're not bound to the reference that you're seeing. You could actually give Mikey a heck of a lot more dynamics in posing. And in this one, you can push back a little further. And that way when he comes back, because right now he looks like he's kind of doing a Thriller dance, he's like this the whole time. And you want to have something like that, right? Really incorporate those arms and incorporate the upper body so that way you can get that feel. Like if I track his pelvis right here, it looks like he stops and then all of a sudden just goes super quickly over here. So just kind of remember your bouncing ball, especially around here. So if you got your pelvis going here, boing, and then your apex, let's see, comes around here. And then you can start to drop off. So if you just watch the ball right there, you can kind of get a sense of where his apex is going to be. And treat your, pelvis like that ball. The foot looks like it's coming into contact a little too late. You see how it's just kind of cushioning in? You want to make sure that this foot connects, wham, almost like a suction cup. We used to do this all the time in Overwatch where we jump, hit the ground, and the feet would hit first, and then the whole body would come in and just engulf it too. Right around here, this is kind of the last thing. Ask you to take a look at again and watch out, because I'm looking at Mikey and he feels like he's getting to slow-mo around here, right around here. This feels alright, and then this part feels, this little jump right here, and then it feels like he's kind of gliding a little bit. I'm starting to lose that weight, and it's almost like right here, I'm almost picturing Mikey on two wires and a rail right there, and he's just going zzz, like this. Pose you can get Mikey in and really set up for how he's going to jump to the next pose, how dynamic you can make it, and going in for that last bounce right there. So we want that nice arc right here. Whoop. But just remember, as he's shifting his weight over here, his whole body is stopping right here in midair. So gravity is going to take over, and Mikey's eventually going to bloop, like literally with his legs like that. So you don't want that. So to counter that, all you need to do is just keep putting more ease. Probably need to push that leg out a little bit further. He's just putting more weight on top of it. Especially this part when he hits that last beat, because right now this pelvis just kind of feels really linear, mechanical things. And sometimes we use the term mechanical a lot in the industry, and that's what we mean by that. Looks very, like I'm just taking an elevator, right? Just like the bouncing ball, the weight is introduced, and then the pelvis is going to be coming down hard. Bam. Again, your foot lands pretty soft. Your foot should be hitting right around there, right? Should be coming, making contact with the ground, flat. And you can cushion it into this cool karate pose. Yeah! Or he just jumps in the air like, yes, I did it. And then you could stop it like a Rocky ending. Fun stuff, Maria. I hope this tutorial helped you and helped out anybody else who watched it as well.